Welcome to BWRD TV and this edition of Inside Story. We ask the questions you want the answers to. And now our host, Ingram Jones.
Hi and welcome to BWTMONLINE TV. I'm your host Ingram Jones, and on today's show, on Inside Story, Chris BYRD, the former two-time heavyweight champion of the world. Chris BYRD weighed nothing more than a super middleweight when he started his professional career. The silver Olympic medalist used all his guile and skill and defensive ability to avoid getting hit with big punches to become the heavyweight champion, not once but twice, and the division stacked of talent, from Vladimir Klitschko to Vitali Klitschko, Evander, Holyfield, David Tua, Quendo, you name them. He fought them. So now, without further ado, let's hear what Chris has to say. Thank you for speaking to BWRD TV, Chris BYRD. How are you?
Doing good. I'm doing really good. How about yourself?
I'm great. Thanks again for doing the interview. Let's talk straight about your career as a pro first and foremost. Give us your record.
I finished my professional career at 41-5, one draw, 22 knockouts. So at heavyweight, so it was a pretty good career.
Two-time heavyweight champion of the world.
Two-time heavyweight champion, yeah.
You can't forget that.
Yeah, I know, right?
Right. Okay, you've done a hell of a lot of things as a heavyweight. But let's talk about you as an amateur, how you got into the sport. Let's roll.
Yeah, I got in the sport. I started when I was 5 years old, youngest of 8 kids. There's 5 boys, 3 girls, and all the boys box. I had a sister that boxed. I had a dog that was a boxer. Everything in the household boxed. My father was, the trainer. He was a former boxer, and that's how I got into it. Watching my older brothers throughout the years, and by being the youngest, watching them box and travel and just having fun doing it. Quite naturally, I'm gonna be doing it also. So by being the youngest, I didn't take it that serious. Being real young, but as I got a little older, I started taking it really serious, especially when I was 17, made the Olympic trials, number 2 in the country. So as an amateur, that was a big feat for me at that time, knowing that in 4 years, I'm going to make the 1992 Olympic team. I know that for sure. If I was number 2 at 17, I was 139 pounds then. I got, filled out to 165 pounds by the time the 1992 Olympics came around and made the team. Won a silver medal. It was great. Just a great feeling.
Did you ever think at the point, you are from 135 pounds to 160 pounds, did you ever dream that Chris BYRD would be heavyweight champion of the world years later?
You know what? I never dreamed of, being a heavyweight, but my father always said it. He always said, you're going to be a heavyweight. He never said, champion, but he just always said, you're going to be a heavyweight. And I'm like, come on, I'm a skinny kid. At 165 pounds, I was the lanky Olympian. And I bloomed up to a heavyweight. It was my choice of doing it. No PEDs, nothing like that. I didn't know nothing about that. It was just eating. Eating a lot of food, started lifting weights. I was really chubby around the middle when I first moved up to heavyweight. And a lot of people probably seen it on USA Tuesday Night Fights when I was, moving up the ranks. So, I never got really big. I've always been a very small heavyweight.
So, okay, you got through to you did the Olympic trials.
Yeah.
And you went to Olympics, right?
Yep. 1992 Olympics.
Wasn't that the it was 1992? Which was the one? Was that the one at Atlanta? Or have I got that one wrong?
Barcelona. Atlanta was 96. Yeah.
Right. So what was the team that had Evander, Holyfield, Mark Breland, and all those guys? Was that before?
That was 84 Olympics.
84 Olympics. I remember certain Olympics. And of course my brain's all over the place at the moment. So I remember, and they call themselves the best Olympic team for America. And of course you would say, well, you know what? I wasn't the best Olympic team. Your thoughts?
I mean, I look at it like this with 92, 96 had a great team too. I mean, and we started the computer scoring era of amateur boxing. And we had a full Olympics. Everybody came. The thing is, if Russia and Cuba don't come, it don't count. I'm just telling you, it don't count. 84, Russia and Cuba didn't come.
Right.
And the 84 guys, they'll tell you who is the hardest fights to fight. And we fought unified Russia. It wasn't, it's broke up now. It was unified. So we fought the number one Russian. You wasn't from all these different countries. Now they got their number one. Now we fought the best. So that's the argument. I mean, you can't look at pro career, even though we had really 7 guys from our team to be world champion.
Right.
So, it's a major debate. So 84 can't say they're the best because they won a lot of medals. Everybody wasn't there. 88, the same thing. So
that's very interesting because boxing fans who maybe not know the inside story about all that and say, oh yeah, well they had a great team. You think, well yeah, if an American says they had a great team, they had a great team. That's it. But yeah, when you got one American saying, hold on, you may have had a great team, but hold up a second. The Russians weren't there, the Cubans weren't there, so you didn't really have the best team. You can't say you had it, but in this era, the Russians, the Cubans were there. We had to fight the best. There was no ducking and diving.
You have to fight. I mean, and like I said, Russia has broke all up after, I think it was 1990. The wall come down and maybe Russia broke up. Now it's different countries. So, you can't define who's best because everybody's not there. So, everybody had good teams. We all had good teams, and it's still up for debate.
So how did you do in the Olympics?
I won a silver medal.
Excellent stuff.
I thought, I personally thought I won a gold medal.
Right.
But I lost to the Cuban in the finals, and I was more distraught by the decision than losing.
Okay.
I lost 12-7, which is crazy. It was 1-1 after the first round, 4-4 after the second, and I thought I won the third round. I thought I landed more punches, and I lose 12-7. So it's crazy. The computer scoring rips. It's a horrible system, and it rips a lot of guys off.
So what does it do internally? You're in there, you think you've done your best, you think you've given it your best shot, and then you get, let's say, robbed. In your own heart, you feel you got robbed.
Yeah.
Mentally, what does that do to you as a fighter?
Well, at that time, being an amateur, I cried. I never cried before after a fight ever. And I cried, but Vernon Forrest, the late Vernon Forrest, who was on my Olympic team, he consoled me, but he put it in the right perspective. He was like, dude, I came to Olympic just with you with a dream of winning the medal. He lost the first fight. He said, at least you're going home with something. We work our whole life to get to this point, and you win a medal, and I don't win nothing. So I don't go home, back to America with nothing. So I was like, wow, that's a great point.
So Chris Bird, on his way up, I mean, you hear about amateurs now. I mean, I spoke to Ava Knight recently, and she told me how the amateur career now, having an amateur career now, pays well, and instead of turning pro because of the endorsements, this and that.
Wow.
In your time, was there endorsements?
Well, no. We had, it was called Operation Gold, and that was from the Olympic Committee. And if you're top 3 in the nation, you get a little check every month. I was getting like $525 a month, $541.66 to be exact.
Right.
And I'm a poor kid, so I'm looking forward to that $500 a month. It wasn't much, when you really look at it, but it was something. Now I heard they get a lot more money, so. People, I wouldn't say guys, young ladies also, they'll stay amateur. I don't know, but we wasn't getting that much.
So your ambition, because I know there are a lot of things that there are fighters that you would think after the Olympics they would go and turn pro. It seems more of a trend to stay amateur and not turn pro. We've got a heavyweight at the moment that won a gold medal but hasn't turned pro in the heavyweight division, Joshua.
Wow.
Now, you obviously converted and turned to being a pro. Why would you stay an amateur after winning Olympic gold? I can't understand. But
I know. I mean, I look at it like this. I wanted to be the best in the world, and my journey to the heavyweight title, was hard. But after the Olympics, I didn't think about amateur no more. I wanted to turn pro. I wanted to go face all the best guys, and I thought I would face them in a lighter division, like 168. Roy Jones, James Toney, those guys. But I was like, I'm going to heavyweight because I just had a hard journey through to getting to the top. It wasn't normal for a Olympic silver medalist to start off like I started off.
I mean, I looked at your career on BoxRec, and I was shocked because I looked at your weight. The first fight you had, you were 160 pounds.
Yeah.
And then after that, it was like, whoa, this man's on a mission. He was like, from 160, you've gone up to 215, 220. I'm like, yeah. How did you do it?
Eating. I was fat. That's why, I wasn't on a major weight program. I didn't have no money. And my thought was I was drinking protein shakes, eating everything. I trashed my body, really, just to be a heavyweight. But you got to think about the heavyweight division. Evander Holyfield was a champion. So I'm looking at Evander like he only 208, 212 pounds. And I sized him up at the Olympics because he was over in Barcelona. I'm like, he's not that big. And then a whole big era came in, and EDs came in also. So, I don't know nothing about that stuff. So it was crazy because I was like chubby around the middle. If people remember me boxing back in the day on USA Tuesday Night Fights, they know I was kind of fat around the middle. Skinny up top, but I was fat around the middle. And that's where most of my weight was. So, I just trashed my body. I just wanted to be a heavyweight.
So as you were going up the ladder, who did you sign with in terms of?
I didn't look. Check this out. I'm fighting my first two fights at home. I fought at 169 pounds, 172 pounds, and with no promoter. These are local guys.
Wait. You are a silver Olympic medalist, and you are fighting with no promoter. What the?
No promoter. So when I moved up to heavyweight, actually I fought one cruiserweight fight, then I fight heavyweight. So when I move up there, I have a local guy that owned a laminating business, took a chance on me and said, "Hey, I could put on a boxing show. I'm pretty good at business, so we can do that." I was fighting at a nightclub. They converted the nightclub into a boxing ring. I'm an Olympic silver medalist fighting at a nightclub. My 9 fights in a nightclub. So I went the hard route, making $800. $800 a fight. So, I went the hard road. People say, well, you came out of Olympic. No. I went totally back. When all my guys from amateur, not just Olympics, amateur studs that turned pro, fighting on ESPN and other networks, I'm fighting at a nightclub.
Chris, hold on a second. So, wait, you qualified the same time as Oscar De La Hoya, right?
Yep.
Wait, so you were on the same Olympic team, right?
Yep.
So hold on. The golden boy, the golden boy Oscar De La Hoya turns pro and he has his glamorous career, right?
Yeah.
You and him are buddies.
Yeah.
Was there no time at all when you thought to yourself, hold on, I'm in a nightclub boxing, I'm a silver medalist, okay, this guy won gold. Let me have a chat with Oscar and find out, sort of like, this can't be right. Did that never cross your mind?
Always crossed my mind. I mean, I always wanted to be on TV. I never thought my life as a professional boxer would be like this. I didn't get paid my first two fights. People don't know that. I didn't get paid my first two fights, promoted and have the money. So I started my career off like that. And then if you notice on BoxRec, after my second fight, it's probably like a year, almost a year and a half where I didn't fight.
Yes.
And then I came back at 193 pounds, and then I started fighting heavyweight. So that's where the change was, of getting bigger. But I had a guy in a laminating business. Think about that. He laminating business. Didn't know nothing about boxing. Said, I can, I know business, so I can start putting on shows in a nightclub. So that's the hard road. So when people say, man, shoot, you start at the bottom, I was a good amateur. No, I started at the bottom. But my thing was, my thing is now, how bad do you want it? I've sacrificed big time. I'm from Flint, Michigan, so it's cold in the winter. I'm running in the snow. I'm dead broke, married with a baby. But my focus was, I'm getting to the top.
So, did you get married before you became a pro or during your pro career?
I got married probably it was after my first fight. It was 22 days after my first fight, 23 days after my first fight.
Wow, I mean, I got married about 2 years ago, and I've seen the difference and the how much it is to have a woman standing beside you in tough times. Different when you have a girlfriend or just a partner. When you're married, there's that commitment there, and it's key in difficult times and good times.
Yeah, I've been married 20 years.
Wow.
20 years. It was this February 20th, and for me and my wife, we didn't have a nickel to our name starting off. And we're an interracial couple.
Yes.
Interracial couple. We're no money. I'm an athlete, and we made it through all this stuff. And we enjoyed it together.
I certainly want to touch on that point about being an interracial couple because I have been previously in interracial relationships, and there is definitely things are said. Oh, you're with that person or that person. They're only there because of the money. They're only there because when you see a smile of Eddie, because you know what I'm talking about. They're there because of that. Why couldn't you got yourself with this coloured person, or why couldn't you be with that person? How does she know how you feel? She doesn't understand. You're not hanging with the brothers. Blah blah blah. How does Chris Bird deal with that?
Well, obviously, you probably know I caught a lot of flack throughout my career.
Yes.
I mean, especially being heavyweight champion. But before me and my wife got married, we dated 5 years. All my amateur guys, the amateur crew, it's a bunch of us. I mean, it's a bunch of us. They know my wife. They know her. She was my girlfriend during my amateur days, so they know who she is. They know what kind of person she is. They all know I ain't have no money, broke, no fame, broke, nothing. She stuck with me through all that. When I turned pro, when I said I didn't get paid my first couple fights, it was me and my wife. And then we had a brand new baby girl. That's the time where, a lot of young kids, which I was, split up. We stayed together tight. And, I thank the Lord, I gave my life to Jesus Christ. So at around that time, so it really glued our relationship big time. So for all the haters out there saying, or racist about stuff, hey, that's what you think. Hey, I don't have to go home with you. You know what I'm saying? I go home with my wife. My wife the same way. You can talk from a distance, say what you want, and have that hate in your heart. And I still love you. I just love people, and I don't care what race you are. You're just people.
Wow, that's great. And I really want to ask the question because I know what it feels like. I've caught flack in the past for it, and obviously you're a person that,
Yeah, now be an athlete at the highest level, getting hundreds of emails, racial slurs and hate mail. So,
wow.
we got all that. We deal with it. It was like, whatever. That's your opinion. That's the person's opinion. And sorry that you got that kind of hate in your heart.
How did your wife respond to that? Oh, you're with that black guy, blah, 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 blah. How did she respond to it? Because she has to be as tough as you do.
I'm actually the calm one. She the one that's going off, let's email these people back. I'm like, it's not worth it. It's not. So, and then as we get older, we like, you brush it off. Everything, it's a joke. My thing is, it's not that serious. You can't take that stuff that serious. I mean, you take it serious when it hate go overboard and guns and stuff and people trying to hurt you. But outside of that, it's not that serious. I've been with my wife 25 years. I've been married 20. So more than half my life I've been with my wife. We know each other, and that's the love of my life. That's who God had meant for me, and she's white. I mean, it could have been, other way around, whoever. This is who God has for me.
And that's it. Full stop.
So.
Absolutely. I feel the same way about my own wife. So let's move on a little bit. You mentioned about your faith.
Oh, yeah.
Got to talk about that. You've got to give a testimony. So just give me a bit about that, please. Come on.
Hey, just a worldly guy, regular guy. My wife gave her life to Jesus Christ. And then just by how she was living for like 3 months, encouraged me to go to church, heard the gospel, gave my life to the Lord. But one thing about that was prayer. I didn't know nothing about prayer and that stuff. I just prayed, Lord, I want to be a heavyweight. And if I get to the highest level of the heavyweight division, now this is a prayer of mine, I'm going to represent you on the biggest stage in the sport. And sure enough, I had my trials going up the ladder, but I made it. And one thing you'll know about me, I represented the Lord, going up. That's one thing you'll know about me. Anybody, that religious boxer, they call me religious, but it's a relationship with Jesus Christ. And so I try to represent him.
Yes, that absolutely. I'm gonna come back to that thing about Jesus Christ and your faith. I'm definitely gonna come back to it because there's another man that you met further down in your career who you know who I'm gonna talk about, don't you? So we'll talk about him in a minute. But let's move on. Your faith, how much has your faith been a key to your career, and at what point did you make that transition from Mr. Worldly, I do what the hell I want, to, I'm going to follow Jesus? When did that become a crossover point? At what part of your career?
It's funny. I had 2 fights at really at 168 at super middle, and then I moved up. Then I moved up to where the big boys play.
Yep.
In between those 2 fights, I had the 2 fights. And then I gave my life to the Lord. And I truly feel that that's where my career began. And the impossible, truly the impossible. I'm a skinny kid.
Yes.
Broke. No muscle. And I get to the highest level of the sport as I'm not a muscle. I have no muscle. Now I'm punching. Gifted in defense. And I got smarts about myself when it come to boxing. I could figure stuff out, and I was blessed with that. But truly, it just through heavyweight boxing, especially this era where you see all these big guys, no way in heck I should be in the mix, especially not being a puncher. I'm not a puncher like a David Haye. He's 220, but he can punch.
Yes. I'm
not a puncher. Punchers are born. I was always a finesse guy. How do a finesse guy win a heavyweight title? I mean, really, how do we beat a guy like David Tua, who's a monstrous puncher, and avoid him and can box him forward, round after round? How can he hang with a Vitali Klitschko? I'm hanging with him, fighting him. And I went 12 with Vladimir the first fight. Second fight, he beat me. He stopped me in the 7th round. But I was talking trash to him, like, come on, let's fight. I fought out of my character. But fighting these guys like a Jamil McCline, 270. Andrew Galata, 240, just these big guys. I never thought I would fight guys like that.
See, now you've mentioned a bunch of guys there, big names. And while I'm talking about this, I'm thinking yourself and Lennox Lewis have something in common, right? 2 guys you've both defeated, right? 2 guys that a lot of other guys have struggled with. You beat Vitali Klitschko. You were the first man to beat Vitali Klitschko. And then you were the man to also beat David Tua. Lennox Lewis beat Vitali Klitschko, and he also outboxed David Tua. So, wow.
Yeah. And then we were supposed to fight each other, me and Lennox.
So why did you and Lennox never fight?
You gotta ask Lennox.
Oh, one day I will.
Because I'm not into, tearing nobody down.
No.
I'm stopping with it. Hey, my thing is, you don't give up belts. You know what I'm saying? You give up the belt, and then I fight Evander Holyfield, which is great. I wanted to fight Lennox Lewis so bad, especially after fighting David Tua. I'm like this. I'm going to go against one of the great heavyweights of all time, one of the big heavyweights. How can I fare? I always wanted to challenge, how can I fare against this guy? How would I fare against Ali, you know what I'm saying, with Ali or Larry Holmes? So now we're getting into the guys where you got Lennox Lewis, one of the greats. I do a fare with him. Let's do it. I just wanted to box him. Win, lose, or draw. My thing was a challenge. Duck nobody. That's my motto.
Another guy who I thought, in my opinion, would have gone on to be a great fighter. Ike, the President Ike Ibeabuchi. That man was I mean, I don't know how much is myth and I don't know how much is truth. The guy had a great chin, he had a great work rate, he had a big punch, he closed guys down. He seemed unbeatable. That's how he seemed. No man is unbeatable, of course. What are your views on Ike Ibeabuchi?
The one thing about Ike, big, 244. I was 208 pounds when we fought. 208. Yes. So nobody take that into consideration. You know, he's huge. So, and it's heavyweight division. And the thing about Ike, the fight was even when this heavyweight boxing. You get caught one punch. You see Tony Thompson hit David Price.
Yes.
One punch. One punch. So same thing with me and Ike. It's not like it's not like he was just dominating me and killing me and then he knocked.
Oh no.
So everybody's going crazy over Ike, who's a good fighter. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's a good fighter. Boxing is a style matchup.
Absolutely.
How are you gonna try to figure out this style? Not only in the era of big guys, 6'7", 6'8". And so I get into it with one of the commentators about Lennox Lewis and David Tua, saying David Tua gonna beat Lennox Lewis and catch him. I'm like, how are you gonna beat a big guy that's patient, tall, height, reach, which he got to come up? The same with Ike. In this era, hey, it's a toss-up. He maybe he's done well, but look at the guys out there. You got 240 plus guys where, you know, at 6'6", 6'7", hard style matchup. So you can't say he was just gonna be dominant. Who knows?
I agree with you to that point, but I'll also throw it straight back on you and say you were a small guy. You got inside of Vitali Klitschko. You got Vitali going backwards.
Yeah, but
and Ike could punch.
Well, yeah, you're pretty decent. I mean, that wasn't like Tyson, just big, strong. He wasn't a David Tua, you know, type just killer. But the thing is, like a reporter wrote on me, he said, "Man, you won 2 heavyweight titles on defense. You won on defense. I make them miss, make them think. You know, is it get in front of somebody? Floyd Mayweather, for instance.
Yes,
he's slick. You don't see him punching hard. He ain't no like killer puncher, but he reads you like a book when you get in front of you, and he make you think. And just like the kid Gary Russell Jr. the other night.
Yes,
I know boxing, so his hands are fast. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm this guy in boxing, but I know style's really good. He's making this guy think. If I make you think, I got you, because I can do what I want. Because his hands fast. Every time the guy think about throwing, I'm a coach. So that was my thing. I started figuring that out in the ring. That's only how I hang with guys. My defense, you know, and I'm making you think, so I can hang with you for a long period of time. I'm tough too, you know. I just like to fight, but if I get cracked, you go. I mean, you get hit in the butt. That's everybody.
That's everybody. But there's no shame in that, Chris. You went and fought the best, and you have had great boxing skill. Because to be a small guy fighting in a big division, and to achieve what you've achieved, fighting the very best, not the bums, not the linear, not the second-rate titles, fighting the very best guys and ducking nobody takes a great amount of heart, guts, durability, because if you couldn't take a shot, you wouldn't be in with these guys. And you took a heck of a shot against Ike Ibeabuchi and against all the heavyweights you fought. So there's no doubt in that. No doubt whatsoever.
Yeah, but like back to Ike,
yes.
It's unknown. Yeah, he could have been either two ways. Yeah. The most dominant terror heavyweight out there. Could have just destroyed guys, or got into a rut where, you know, his boxing ability and guys start outboxing, start figuring him out because he's coming straight ahead. But, you know, he was good. And I'll tell you one thing about Ike, that for a big guy, he bend his knees, which is crazy in division. That's what I noticed when I was boxing him. He'll bend his knees just a little bit to slip punches. And I really thought that was, like a brilliant thing, because a lot of guys don't do that anymore. They don't use their legs for nothing. That's a small man, a quick guy do that. I can slip, get down, bend my knees. He's bending, coming at me, throwing at my shoulders, not just aiming at the head. Smart corner. Curtis Coates was his coach, former champion. So he had all the combination to be that great guy. So I'm not dismissing how he could have been. I'm just putting out there, the scenarios of what could happen.
Could have been, absolutely.
Could have been dominant.
So that's why I say to you about Ike Ibeabuchi, it's almost a myth. That's why I asked you, is it a myth or not? Because it's one of those, what would have happened?
Right. You just never know, because all the big guys come in and box it, and everybody's saying, well, Klitschko, you did this to Klitschko. But Klitschko fought many guys, and I'm probably the smallest, the lightest punching guy, and I had him going backward. Why did I have him going backward? I'm making him miss. I started making him miss going forward. So when most guys like a Chris Arreola coming at him, he's not making him miss, but he's punishing Chris Arreola. It's totally different. That's a different style in front of you. Boxing is a style matchup. So when you match up on styles and certain things happen in the ring that we know that's going on, it's like, oh man, I can't do it. I can't do that against him. I did it against him. And the people looking at it like, well, why did he just blowing him out, or he's pushing them back? That's what they say about me and Vitali. But myself pushing them back and Ike pushing them back is two different ways, two different styles.
Yeah.
I'm making while I'm going forward. Ike ain't gonna make it miss.
You can go straight forward.
He's coming straight forward. You're gonna be getting hit. So it's different.
Yes, I talked to James Adebashir a few days ago, and he said to me, anybody who fights Vladimir or Vitali, as soon as they cross that line of coming to attack, they're going to get hit. They're going to get hit. So they have to be able to endure a certain amount of punishment if they're going to win a fight. And after that fight with Ike Ibeabuchi, how did you feel? What was going through your mind? Because I remember that fight, going back, listening to it on TV, and how the commentators got on your back. And
they killed me. Larry Merchant, that was probably the worst commentating or destruction of a person ever. He didn't like me. He didn't want me to win. And when I lost, he was like, good riddance. They thought I was gonna be done. So he just kills me on TV, and I'll forgive him for it. I mean, ain't no hate, but I'm just like, he killed me. My thought was, I'm a fighter, man. Stuff happened. I mean, you get caught. Okay, it's part of boxing. I fought 5 weeks later. 5 weeks later in Mississippi, I was back on it. I'm like, I got a goal. Nobody gonna stop me from my goal. One fight? Well, who cares? I lost in amateur many times, so who care about? You hurt. You're like, okay, I lost, but then you get back on that horse, and that's the mark of a good fighter. You come.
That's a indirect message also, I guess, to David Price.
Yeah, that's what I tweeted out there to him. Like, dude, you lose. You got all this expectation because you're a big guy. You undefeated. Okay, you lost. So what?
Get on with it.
Are you going to just wallow in that, or are you going to come back stronger than you ever been and smarter? You learned from it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you come back, you fought. Then I watched the Vitali fight. Now, leading up to that fight, I don't know, did you fight him before Herbie Hyde did? Oh, you must have done, because Herbie Hyde was WBO champion.
Yeah, before her.
Herbie Hyde was from Britain, and he had fast hands. I
know Herbie really good.
Similar size to you as well. And he
Herbie
was a
punch, though.
He can punch.
I mean, he better than almost all the heavyweights out there. He can hit.
He can punch. But the difference between yourself and Herbie is Herbie would go straight forward. He had no form of defense.
Yeah.
And of course, by not having any form of defense, he walked straight into Vitali, walked straight into the right hand, and got obliterated by Vitali.
Yeah. Right before it, he fought the fight. He won the title, and then he fought me.
Right. So of course, the script would have been, I've done that to that guy who's not a heavyweight. Bird, you're next.
Yep.
So in comes Chris Bird.
Yep.
From what I heard on the telecast, it was a week beforehand. You had a week's notice. Tell me about that.
Well, I was training for Adolfo Washington,
Okay.
who's about 5'11",
Right.
a little guy. We were fighting in Vegas, and then I get that call, and I'm like, I'll fight him. I'm not, I don't care. But I never seen any tape on Vitali Klitschko until I went to Chicago to update my passport, and my lawyer, John Horner, showed me the tape, and I'm like, whoa, he knocks Herbie out. I'm like, man, he must be a killer. He's 28-0, 28 knockouts. So I'm thinking, man, I gotta put in some work. I mean, I gotta really slip punches and be on top of my game, or he's gonna knock me out. And so I'm really thinking about Ike. I'm like, man, Ike caught me. This guy got all knockouts. He gonna hurt me. But I just thank God, man. It was short notice, and just in the fight, you go. My thought is, I go to win. I ain't just not coming as an opponent ever. I come to win. And my thought was, if you give me 4 rounds, if I get past 4 rounds, I'm in this fight. I'm a live dog in this fight. And sure enough, after the 4th round, the German crowd cheering my name. I'm like, I felt like a black Rocky. I was like, this is crazy. This is crazy. They going crazy. I'm like, man, I'm in this fight. And my brother, who was in my corner with my father, was like, pushing back. Just go forward. Make him miss, pushing back. He was screaming at the whole time. I'm like, okay, make him miss, go forward. Swinging at the air, swinging at whatever. I'm just going forward doing it. And sure enough, after the 9th round, I sit down. My lawyer said, I think he quit. And so it's always a question in boxing where, see, I'm the guy, I don't quit. I don't care what happened. You got to kill me. I fought Vladimir Klitschko the first time. I went to the wrong corner. My eyes were so swelled. I'm not going to quit. You got to kill me. I mean, I hate to say that in boxing, but yes. Literally, I'll die in the ring. I'm just going to keep fighting. I'm not the biggest puncher, not the biggest guy, but I always figured that, hey, I got the biggest heart. You ain't gonna outdo me. So, and I'm not scared of nobody. Just keep fighting.
There are some questions I need to ask regarding the Vitali Klitschko fight. First and foremost, a lot of people say, oh, well, he was behind the scorecards and Vitali, could have beaten him. Now, I don't see it as that. For me, and this supposed shoulder injury, he was throwing punches as far as I was concerned for the first 9 rounds. There was at no point in time in that fight did I see anything that looked like his shoulder had gone. What it looked like to me, and this is just my opinion, is that you were pushing him back, catching him with punches, making him exert himself more than he expected, thought he was going to blow you out in a couple of rounds, taking him into deep water, backing him up, and I think he was running out of gas. That's what it seemed to me. And he went back to the corner and thought, you know what? I can't do this anymore, and I don't want to get knocked out by a guy or collapse from exhaustion to a guy that's somewhat smaller than me. And then they said, and I hear in the corner, does it hurt? Yeah, we're stopping the fight. What? And you're heavyweight champion of the world quitting on your stool. What's all that about?
Well, the thing is, I mean, I don't know. I really don't. It could have happened that way. Who knows? All I know is I'm new champion. I don't care. My thing is fight. And another thing, I'm not a big puncher, in the heavyweight division. But it doesn't mean I can't punch. It's funny. Me and you can fight the same guy. You get done fighting him, you'll say, he don't punch that hard. And then I fight him, and I come away saying, man, he punched pretty hard because we're different people.
Yes.
And we experience different stuff in the ring. So for people to say that, well, he's a non-puncher.
That's rubbish, isn't it? He's rubbish.
Big puncher.
But I can punch.
But I'm over 200 pounds, so you're gonna feel something.
Oh yeah.
And that's the thing. So, I'm like this. For me personally, I don't quit. You got literally they talk about shoulder injuries. I got my nose broke in the first round against Levi Billups. Pushed all the way to the side. And it's on USA Tuesday Night Fight, so I'm not lying. Pushed over. 9 rounds I fought with that nose messed up. The doctor didn't even know my nose was broke. And I'm bleeding like crazy. Separated ribs twice in a fight. Twice. And I'm not even going to say who I fought. This is before the fight. Going in the ring with separated ribs. Fought the whole distance. So, in excruciating pain. So, for me, personally, Chris Bird, I don't quit, and I'll take fights. And I just thought, okay, I'm fighting. I don't care. I never turned anybody down. That's my thing. I'll fight everybody.
So Vitali is known for being the biggest puncher in heavyweight history, or so they say, or one of the biggest. What's your views about this?
No, I don't think so. He may have the highest knockout ratio, but that don't mean you're a big puncher. You know what I mean? Most guys he fight will tell you. Vitali is it's like over a fight wears you out. A lot of guys quit. You never see him really knock anybody out. The referee will stop it because he throw a lot of punches. He may punish you, but he's not gonna knock you. I mean, he fought Shannon Briggs. He was hitting Shannon with everything
in the book.
12 rounds. He didn't hurt Shannon not once. But you see a Lennox Lewis hit Shannon.
You knew about it. It's a different story, yes.
Italian, he know how to box. He's smart. I went and sparred with him, and he was smarter than I thought. Vladimir, a whole different subject.
Yes.
He punched hard. Just the Italian got a bigger heart. And they'll say, oh, he quit against Shoe. Hey, it still remains to be seen of why he quit. He came back strong after that. As far as I'm not a quitter, and not against Lewis, Lennox Lewis, and against other guys, but everything with those guys, they're good guys. I mean, they love the sport. They respect the former champions and American boxers, and that's one thing I really like about those two.
Wow. That, I guess that your fight with Klitschko really, in a way, made him, because he had to then put on performance against Lennox Lewis. He could not return to America and quit again. He had to fight Lewis.
No.
Because he got trashed the first time. I remember him getting trashed and the fight being announced, and he quit against Lennox. He quit against Bird. Yep. So now he fights Lennox. He'll quit again. And of course, Lennox took it to him. And Vitali stood there and took those monster uppercuts he got hit with.
Yeah.
And he took it. So
it really didn't make him. I mean, it really made him a mark of a guy that got hurt and I'll fight you. So, and everybody remembered that fight. He fought the great Lennox Lewis. That's why I wanted to fight Lennox. I'm like, I just want to get in the ring with, just to say I got in the ring with. In my career, the big three is Holyfield, Lewis, Tyson. And there are era before me.
Yes.
But really in my era, because they fought a lot of guys in the era. So I just wanted to fight those three because that's the three biggest names. Okay, so
let's move forward. So you get the WBO championship. Defenses?
Vladimir Klitschko. It's funny. And people don't even figure this out. I'm like, this is boxing for you.
Yeah.
So I'm WBO champion.
Yeah.
They started me out like 6-7 months without. I didn't know who I was fighting for a long time. I mean, because the Germans were my promoters. They took over, my promotion because I was champion.
Right.
So since Vitali and Vladimir never gonna fight each other, never. Why am I fighting Vladimir next? He's #1 contender. So if Vitali would have beat me, would he fight his brother next?
No.
Now all of a sudden his brother #1 contender. I'm like, for real. So I go back to Germany, and he beat me he beat me, cleanly. One thing about myself, my body is it's messed up. I mean, it's out of whack big time. My body is, as far as I'm allergic to all kind of food. So man, I was dead tired. In most of my fights after I was 26, 27, I'm shot in the ring. I mean, my body is done. I mean, literally, first 4 rounds, I'm fighting on fumes and the will to win. So fighting Vladimir, man, I had nothing. I was a shell of myself. That's why you see me go from fighting great, and you say, what? Why is he fighting like that? And that's how my body was. I mean, my body really betrayed me a lot, throughout my career, where I didn't get it really fixed until I fought Evander Holyfield. And that's one fight that I didn't fall. I normally fall out after fights. When I fought on HBO, my first fight, when I fought Jimmy Thunder, and it's recorded, I fell out right after the fight, and nobody know why. And then every fight after that, after the fight, I would fall out. So, I had major problems with my body and with food and like wheat. I'm wheat. It just killed me. So, it was just hard. And then going back to Germany fighting Vladimir, who I give credit, he treated me like a little guy. He didn't care about the skills and stuff. He treated me like a little guy. He was like, oh, he a little guy. So I'm going to treat him like one, which I thought that was impressive mentally for him because he knew that he's not a puncher. I'm not going to fall for all of the trickery of slipping of punches and stuff. I'm just going to stay patient, use my jab, and use my strength and my height and reach. So it worked out for him, both times. And I always say in my career, and I can honestly say it with you, I legitimately lost 2 times. That's to Vladimir Klitschko. The other 3 losses, I had either injuries or problems. So I just put it out there like that. And I don't make excuses. You beat me. Vladimir beat me both times. So, but I'm not going to make excuses and go into what was wrong with me. Most fighters go into a fight with injury. For my career, I had to take every opportunity. It wasn't I could turn down the fight. No, I ain't fighting. I may not get that opportunity again. Who care about me? I'm a little non-punching heavyweight. I wasn't so-called good for TV, so I had to fight every single fight.
Your fight with Evander Holyfield. 2 Christian men in the ring battling it out. From a Christian fan point of view or a Christian point of view, look at these 2 men. They're boxing and they're 2 Christians beating the hell out of one another. Oh, how's that be? How do you deal with that sort of? Because I remember when I used to box and being in the church, and people would say to me, "How can you take violence and boxing and say you believe in God?" I had those questions fired at me all the time. So how did you respond to that? And then fighting a fellow Christian brother.
Look, why is it violent? When you were boxing, did you think it was violent?
Well, I didn't. That's why I carried on boxing.
That's a mentality of a world. This is a sport, and it's called. You're in a sport, and it just so well we hit each other. It's like a football. Do they call it? Do they want to ban football? Guys getting, concussions and paralyzed and all this other stuff. Do they say that? It's the same thing. My thing as a Christian, it's my job. This is what and it's just so happened it's boxing. And it's a mission field for me. It's a huge mission field. And so happened it's just boxing. We hit on each other boxing, but it's just like any other sport. We look at it, as a sport. Mm-hmm. We don't look at it as violent. I'm going to kill you. Guys say that out there, well, man, I'm going to knock him out, this and that. But that's the last thing you want somebody to do is get killed in the sport. If you notice, after every single match, what they do? Hug each other.
Absolutely.
It's respect.
Just only when there's real bad grudges between 2 people, that's probably when they won't hug one another.
They're still showing love. It's boxing. It's a sport. So it's just so be it that we could talk trash through that because it's one-on-one. So and it's a contact sport. So I don't.
So yourself and Evander face to face, the 2 Christian men. Ooh. How was that? That must have been a real match of the ages.
I was in awe, honestly. I'm like, man, Lord bless me to just be in the ring with a guy that, and it was my time. I knew I was gonna beat him. I knew it. Style wise, and I'm younger, and I'm boxing around him. I just feel in my heart that I'm gonna beat him pretty easy. But it was just a blessing to be in the ring with one of the 3 guys that I always wanted to face, and it was just a great experience. Just a great experience. I just thought, man, I'm fighting Evander Holyfield, a guy I look up to, a Christian brother. We just, just going at it and just to figure out. It's like sitting down. Like I sit down with a lot of guys on the bird's eye view, but I'm a boxing guy. I want to sit down with the old guys and just pick their brain and get up and show me style and stuff. That's how Evander was to me. Man, I just want to sit down. I really want to sit down and talk to him, talk about boxing. But we had to fight each other, so it was just a great time for me. Then winning the IBF belt, especially coming off the David Tua fight, and then I was supposed to fight Lennox Lewis. He gives a build up, and I was blessed to have Evander Holyfield #2 contender, and I was #1, so we fought each other. Just a great time, man.
So,
I mean, it was my time. It was my time.
Evander, I'll go back to Evander Holyfield. I mean, the two of you guys are fighting it out. Did you ever talk about your faith? Did you ever exchange testimonies about your faith and stuff? Did that ever?
Because we never talked that much. You know, you get ready to fight. Nobody talking. I ain't talking to you. You stare down. You may shake hands after the stare down stuff, but it's fight time, man. It's not time to talk about anything but boxing.
Wow. And when you were in the ring with him, what did you recognize about him? Did you realize why he was so good and so effective as a heavyweight? Because you were both around the same size.
Very smart. Smart, cutting the ring off, doing certain stuff, trying to trap me in corners. Just boxing out. It's smart. One thing I can tell you, he uses his head, though.
Yeah, he does.
Do, I guess.
Left jab, right hand, left hook, headbutt. Evander, great fighter.
Just smart.
So when you're seeing somebody there, you're looking across at somebody, where's the difference between you looking at him going, wow, Evander Holyfield, and then, hold on a second, this guy, I'm actually looking at this guy who's going to punch me in my face. Where do you cut that off from admiration to having to almost cut that admiration off to get out there and just take your man out? How does that transfer? How do you do that?
When the bell ring, man, see, my thought is, even when you got off nights, you got to turn it off, that part of the boxing, and just when the bell ring, for me, this me personally, bell ring is business. Now, I trained hard. I don't feel great. Maybe I don't feel great or feel like fighting, but I train hard. I want to put in work on try to put in work on whoever I'm fighting, and you turn everything off and just go and just fight, go perform. So, for me, it's always been like that, and I don't care who I'm boxing. I boxed my brother twice when we were little kids, and we at it, me and my brother.
That's what it is. That's how you were able very easily to go and cut it off. Great stuff. Let's skip right forward in your career and to the point where obviously you did something which was, for me, odd. You went down in weight afterwards. Why?
Two reasons. One reason I wanted to be as I studied, boxing in history, I would have been the third man to ever go from heavyweight to light heavyweight, one to win a title. But I would have been the first man ever to win a heavyweight title and defend it, and then win a light heavyweight title. Because I could have cruiserweight. But another, I wanted to show the boxing community that these guys not fighting the heavyweight. You really fighting a light heavyweight. I wanted to show everybody that criticized me saying this, he can't punch, he can't do this, he can't do that. I'm not a big guy. Look at who I'm fighting. It's the God in me. I can battle all these guys and beat them, and have most of the boxing community, especially the so-called experts, say he's expected to win. Really? When you think about it, really? I'm expected to win. Why? I'm not a puncher. I'm not big. I don't have no advantages, but you put a lot on me. Just like when I fought Ike. Look, Ike, #1 contender because of what? Not because he beat David Tua. They didn't push him. They didn't know who Ike was. But as soon as he beat me, the untouchable one, they're like, man, everybody pushes him to the front. But you always want to criticize me. I'm like, well, why is he #1 contender now? Really, why? Why is Ike, when you have the sanctioning bodies have you rated #9, and nobody in the division wanted to fight me? Nobody wanted to fight me. Everybody, boxers will tell you, I ain't messing with him. I wanted to show just the boxing world, and you ain't fighting the heavyweight, you fighting a little cat that, I really what I should have did in my career is come in at like 195 every fight. I think as I think about it now and fight at heavyweight. But they probably wouldn't allow me. At the time they would have because cruiserweight was 190, then it went to 200. But, before I would weigh, when I was in a training camp, I would weigh 97, 98. Then when I'm in training camp, I eat a lot. I get to eat a lot more and drink a lot more liquid. And then I got to make it look good when I get on the scale. Oh, man, I weigh on my bottom on, have my pants, pockets full of stuff, and I try to make it look good. I'm full of liquids and everything else. But really, like on Don King card you weighed on Thursday, I weigh 214. But if you weighed me the morning of the fight, I'm like 207. And then when I get in the ring, because all day I'm thinking about the fight, I'm going through it, I'm getting smaller and smaller. So you're not getting a big guy. You're just getting just a regular small guy. So that's why I want to prove to everybody that, or show everybody that you really ain't fighting a heavyweight. I'm not a heavyweight. And I consistently fought heavyweights. It wasn't like I moved to heavyweight one fight and I fought a guy.
You were consistent. You were consistent. But you see, Roy Jones went through the super middleweight division, went up to light heavy, went to heavyweight division, beat John Reyes. And I always said he should have stayed in the heavyweight division, for what my opinion is worth. But he came back down to light heavyweight division to fight Tarver. And when he came back down to fight Tarver, we all know what happened to Roy Jones. And since that, when he came back down, not been the same fighter. What are your thoughts?
I like Roy. Love guy. Great talent. But who is he going to fight in the heavyweight division? Who is he going to fight? Surely he's not fighting me. I'm champion. So the next fight would have been me and him.
Could have fought you.
Matching his speed. Power wouldn't have been so great. I'm taller. I'm naturally bigger. So who are you really gonna fight at heavyweight? You know you ain't gonna mess with Klitschko. I mean that's crazy.
But their fights he could have had. He could have fought Evander Holyfield. That would have been a super fight. People would have called it a super fight.
So why would you fight? Why didn't you go fight Evander?
Because he had that beef with Tarver.
Evander might have been a little old, but he's still smart and he's still punching hard.
Mm-hmm.
So you go back and fight Tarver, and another thing with Tarver, Roy weighed 193 when he fought John Ruiz.
Mm-hmm.
Ask every light heavyweight how much they weigh when they walk around just by themselves, just walking around. Probably over 200 pounds. So he really didn't lose that much weight. Think about it. So it's not like he lost a whole lot of weight to cut and fight. I lost over 40 pounds when I went back to 175. And I was just 40.
Yeah. You looked it though.
40. 18 pounds? It's not that much weight.
I have to say this without sounding disrespectful. When I saw you as a light heavyweight, you looked sickly.
I look sick.
Yeah, you look sick.
When I got in the ring, the commission said, I don't know why we passed him. They told me that after the fight. I don't know why. I can't believe we passed this guy. I look sick because I did it all wrong. I did it by myself. So, like, I look at, like, Roy, being real, he made a choice, and it was a great choice. You go fight John Ruiz, who you think you could beat, and it worked out for him. Now, after the joy over, now you got to pick out, dang, now I got to fight heavyweight. Hey, heavyweight is a different beast. I'm telling you, I don't care who you are. The guys maybe they can't fight. They're not great talent.
Yeah.
You can hit. You got punch. Hey, that one punch factor is huge. And people don't realize, well, this guy ain't that good. Or Chris Bird, you fight these guys and they this. I'm like, dude, one punch. Everybody hit hard. I mean, you slow, maybe you're not that good, but you can crack. I've been hurt in many fights, and nobody don't even know it. Man, I get buzzed all the time. So, and that's a major thing. Like, Roy started thinking about it. He ain't Roy intelligent. He like, man, shit, now I got to fight a heavyweight. These guys can punch.
But I did hear a lot of things in the media, as you do. He wanted to fight Lennox Lewis. He wanted to fight Mike Tyson. He said, I'll fight Mike Tyson. I'll fight Mike Tyson. I mean, you're a man. You know the inside scoop. Mike Tyson? Really?
So if you want to fight him, make the match. That's my thing. Make the match.
I know.
It's not like they don't want to make the match.
His dad didn't want him to fight Buster Douglas.
Who?
Roy's dad never wanted Roy to fight Buster Douglas.
Yeah, and he's gonna fight. That's a style matchup that's all wrong. Why would you fight Buster Douglas? That's crazy. I mean, you fighting a big guy. Now he's a major puncher to him, taller, longer, everything. I mean, it makes so, that's just boxing. And another thing, you never see him. Hey, he talk about a Klitschko, but you never see him go over there. James Toney talk about a Klitschko, call him all kind of names. Well, go sign the contract. It's that simple. You got the name, especially when you're in the heat of boxing. Go over there and fight. It's just, you know what I'm saying?
There's a big difference between talking and making it happen.
Sign the contract. Go fight.
That's my contract.
That's how I look at it.
A common thing I'm hearing a lot now. Now we move on a bit more. I hear about fighters saying, "Oh, I can't get any fights. He doesn't want to fight me. They're ducking me." It's a very common thing to say. It's fashionable to say. It makes you look good. How much of this is true in terms of contracts and TV networks, and how much of this is bravado?
I mean, it all depends on that boxer. As boxers, we look at guys. I mean, I'm just talking about my friends on the phone that are boxers. We'll get on the phone and go, "That kid's nice right there. He's sharp." And then I'll see that kid saying he can't get fight. That's one thing. But you look at a guy like, he's all right, but, everybody should want to fight him. Now, he said that, you like, come on, man. Let's just make matches. Because the thing is, it's about money. We'll boil down to the money. If you get what you deserve, make the match. But if you're getting underpaid and it's too much risk and not that much reward, no, I don't blame them, because you want to get paid. Because you can win all the belts you want in the sport. I love the sport. But if you leave with no money and have a nice career, now if you spent your money, that's you. But cash, don't do it. I don't blame them. It's like in any sport, like football, you see, or baseball, a guy just signed a $120 million. Joe Flacco in football. Get it while you can. Nobody care about you when you're done. So, if you can make a match, make the match if you're going to get paid. But if you ain't going to get paid, it ain't worth it. So
when did you know it's time for you to say, you know what, thank you very much, boxing, goodbye, in terms of boxing as a fighter?
Oh, man, I did that after, especially after I fought Povetkin, Alexander Povetkin. I mean, I was, that desire, it's not there. He's a good talent, Olympic gold medalist, good talent, take nothing away from him. But my desire is sucked out of me. I mean, I'm 37. I'm like, okay, the training camp's not the same. Matter of fact, I'm getting hurt in training camp more than ever, beat up. I'm like, man, this when I was 27 is different. I could go through camp. I don't care about nothing, smooth, slick. Now I'm 10 years on it. Been through a lot of wars, because guys are so much bigger. Just a lot of my body beat up. And that desire was gone. Getting up, running, it wasn't the same. And I love training. Going to the gym, it just wasn't the same mentally. So I was like, it's about time to hang it up.
So that was your decision. That's it, no more. So there was no.
I came back, fought light heavyweight, which was dumb. And I had the thought of being, like I said, heavyweight champion and light heavyweight champion, in a career. But mentally, it wasn't. My desire was really gone.
So now you are doing the Bird's Eye View, I believe, a Bird's Eye show?
Bird's Eye View.
Bird's Eye View. So what made you go into that?
Just keeping me in the sport, and I've always wanted to talk to guys and how was their journey? How was your journey? What was the rough patches in your career? I know how rough it was for me, but I never get to just sit down. We always talk, we laugh, and I know a lot of boxers, but we never just sit down and talk about careers, especially former boxers. Who talk to the former boxers now? Nobody. They rarely get interviews, rarely talk. Man, I want to still talk about boxing. I just don't want to be done. And if you don't go into training, where do we really go? You have one guy on one network, one on HBO, boxer, maybe one. Football, if you watch American football, you got 3 football players, 3. A color commentator. Sometimes you have 4 football players, maybe 3 football players, a coach, a color commentator. Active. They're still active in the sport. You get depressed if you're not into boxing no more. I boxed my whole life. And, hey, you done boxing, depression. You talking about depression from not doing your sport. Nobody talk to you no more. You're not involved in boxing. And all of a sudden, you just wiped out. Everybody forget about you. You just that guy that's just gone, pushed to the side. Man, I was at the highest level of the sport, and now I don't get to talk about my sport no more? Come on. There's so many guys, there's so many boxers out there that could be commentating and talking and telling people about boxing. And if you look at boxing in itself, if you have, say, 3 boxers on a panel,
yes,
we may not all agree, but all of our points make sense. So now we talk among each other, basically kind of arguing. But
yeah. It's much better.
Great for TV. It's just like basketball. They Shaq, Kenny, Chris talk and discuss on TV, having fun with their sport. That's what boxing is.
I'd love to see more of that. And, you know, one of the reasons why I do my interviews for BWRD TV is to interview champions, to find out what they've done, how they achieved what they've achieved, what struggles they've had to go through. So when young people listen to it, they can hear the champions, what they've done, how they've achieved it. And that's why interviews with people like yourself is great, because you've gone against the grain. You've done what the experts and commentators said you couldn't do. And to be honest, how these people are still able to commentate and be world recognized. But if you did a job and you failed as miserably as these people did, right? In any other job, they'd be fired. They'd be shot. They'd be gone. Got rid of. But these people are Hall of Famers, Hall of Fame commentators and great commentators. And you hear some of the rubbish they speak.
Yeah.
Why?
Never experienced it. And especially in this context, sport of boxing, man, you get hit, make you change your whole mind about everything you know. For real. It'll make you change. And, you know, you can't criticize a guy. Well, why didn't he get in there and fight? Well, why don't you get in there and see why he didn't get in there and fight? Punch hard. Guy punch hard. The style quirky. He set me up. It's all these different things, you know, in the sport. And a lot of guys get criticized. And I'm like, why would he get criticized? Why would you criticize him anyway when you never did this before?
Yeah.
So
I find it very difficult to listen to somebody who's never taken a punch in anger. When you've been hit with a shot, or you hit with a body shot, or you've been dropped, or you've been hurt, you know, any of those things you've done, you can appreciate when something else has happened to somebody else. You're going, oh, that hurts. I wouldn't want to be you. You know, yeah. I respect you. I respect every punch you're taking. There are some guys out there, obviously, you know, we have our favourites. They're guys you like to see fight and win. And there's some guys you like to see get beat. That's just the way it is, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just boxing. And, you know, you make a great point, you know, as far as getting punched. I hear this all the time in boxing with a guy get knocked down. He jumps fast. And I hear the commentator say, I don't know why he got so fast. He should have stayed down. Well, you don't know where he is.
And that's pride.
But he don't know where he is. One for one, you get hit. The first thing you want to do is get up. You may be out. You don't know. I mean, you know, I got hit a few times. I got criticized so bad. Like I was saying with Larry Merchant, I was complaining to the ref in the Ike fight. I'm complaining to the ref because I thought the 10-second, he hit the man for 10 seconds. I thought that was the bail. So while Larry Merchant criticizing me that I was complaining to the ref, I didn't even know where I was. It's boxing. You know what I'm saying? That's boxing, where a boxer looking like, well, he just out.
Yeah.
It's part of it. I wasn't complaining. I didn't know where I was.
On the subject of Larry Merchant, I've got to bring up that subject in terms of him and Floyd Mayweather, and Floyd Mayweather saying what he said to him. Floyd Mayweather sort of gave him back what he's been giving people for years. And a lot of people said, you know what, he deserved that. A lot of people said Floyd was being disrespectful, but I think Floyd, I feel that Merchant has given a lot of people a lot of hard times, because some of the things he said have been quite harsh.
Yeah.
You know, it's been more about him
interviewing
than the fight itself.
It is. I mean, with Floyd, you know, what he said, for myself, I'm a little different. But Floyd, you know, what he's taken, he's taken certain abuse that people don't know about from the commentators. You know, that's off air. So he went on air to express. So, and that's what was on his heart, and he had to say what he had to say. So, you know, that's his deal. More power to him for him just speaking up for himself, and it makes you think twice to criticize somebody, because he goes.
Well, before we come to the end of this interview, I want to just ask you your opinion, because I know you know your boxing, you know your fighters. The heavyweight division. I'm going to mention 5 fighters just very quickly to end off.
Yeah.
Tyson Fury, he's going to fight Steve Cunningham. Any thoughts on that fight?
Good fight. Good matchup for boxing. You know, Steve is confident coming off the Adamic fight. So, you know, that's my boy. And, you know, it's a tough style matchup. Steve is really long. That's the good thing about him. He got long arms. He's just a long guy. He's 6'3", but he's just long. So for him to stay complete in the fight and smart, angles and speed, period. No need to trade with nobody that big. Angles and speed for him. Tyson Fury, he better keep the distance and learn how to try to catch him with the right hand with the distance and keep him at bay, because he's much bigger and stronger. But it's a great matchup. Interesting. It's very interesting and intriguing fight, you know, especially with the style matchup.
I think it's a good fight.
Speed versus size and power. So speed, movement, size, and power.
Did you hear about Malik Scott potentially fighting Vitali Klitschko?
No.
I heard about this on Twitter today.
Oh, maybe. Hey.
I think that's a good fight for Malik. I really do.
Hey, I'm just saying, you know, he's aging.
Yes.
You know, Vitali, he's smarter than what people give him credit for. I'm just telling you. I sparred with him. Not only fought him, but sparred after. And I was like, and I had to tell him, I said, you smarter than I thought. You figuring stuff out. So, you know, when you look at him, it don't look that great. But everybody that fought him get in the ring and say, that was harder than I thought. So it's a great opportunity for Malik Scott, though.
He's got good movement. Just needs to be more output of punches.
Yeah.
Bryant Jennings.
It's Bryant Jennings. He's good. Now you got to go with size. That's where I want to see him against size.
Big guys.
Everybody's good. Like for myself, 220 and under, I get you. I ain't worried about you. And you my height, I'm not worried about that. But now you're going 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", up to 6'9". It's a different way of thinking. You got to have a different game plan and fight guys differently. So, you know, I'm happy for him. He's a guy in the mix, one of the best in America, and he's doing his thing.
Deontay Wilder, who I have criticized for, I call him a joke on my YouTube channel simply because he's not fighting the opponents to the level of his ability now, and he needs to step up. Your thoughts?
Yeah, he got an equalizer, which is his right hand.
Yes.
He got Mark Breland trained him. You know, they fight. You know, Mark is smart, and you know he's 6'7", so he has size. Everybody, okay, of course, his learning. He's still on the learning trail. You gotta think about it. He went to the Olympics, won a bronze medal. He just started boxing. You know what I'm saying? So he ain't been boxing that long. So he's still learning how to fight. And he's not that big of a heavyweight, 223, 225. To be 6'7", not that big, but he can punch. He got a good right hand. So that will keep him in any fight. You know, yeah, step up. Okay, but not step up. Don't step up too fast, because really you don't know much about boxing. And you'll fight against guys that are big and know how to fight, and you know, it's a iffy situation with him. But hey, I think they push him along. I guess they feel like they pushed him along at the right pace. so he could turn out to be something pretty good.
Seth Mitchell, Jonathan Banks.
Seth Mitchell. Okay. The HBO elevated Seth Mitchell as the best American heavyweight. Why? Same with Deontay Wilder. I watch box. I'm like, okay, 240 standard now. That's not really that big. He's 6'1", 6'2", and not really talented. You know, you beat in fights. Who'd you really beat? You know, to be in the mix to fight with Klitschko? What? So if he wins against Jonathan Banks and he fights Klitschko, why? So you can get knocked out? You know, still on that learning curve. Still got to learn how to fight, learn how to use his size and his ability to win fights. So, you know, and to go right back into the Jonathan Banks fight,
I would avoid it. I would.
I understand.
Well, the expression is, I'm hearing a lot, and a lot of the trainers I'm talking to is piss or get off the pot. That's basically what they're saying about Jonathan, about Jennings.
Why? That's stupid. Why? You got time. Where are you going? Are you that old? You've been boxing for what, 3-4 years? You ain't got that much damage. Take your time. Take your time. Why everybody in a rush to fight for a title to get used up, and then you're done? Then your boxing career is over. Learn this game. Learn how to fight. Learn how to figure a guy out. Learn how to read a guy when you get in front of him. I know what you're going to throw. I know your habits. I know everything you do. You start studying guys. Even pressure fighters do it. Tyson, great at it. Coming short, methodically, knowing how to get in, get under punches, reading a guy. And that's boxing. You learn the sport. Learn how to break your man down in the fight so you can make the fights easy for you. Don't just go in there and fight. That's stupid. They just go in there and fight. Nobody have a game plan to set somebody up. So, you know, I don't see why the rush is so big. I just don't personally.
Pulev.
Good. Big, strong, can fight. You know, a hard matchup. He keep that wand out there. Look for a knockout. He good size. I mean, perfect size to fight the big guys, to fight the short guys. He got the style right now, and he's a dangerous guy. And he was very honest. He said, I'm going to knock out Adamic. Now, Klitschko's, that's another thing. That's a hard matchup because he knows boxing.
Yeah.
And he knows styles. Other boxing, just being real. So he's a hard fight for a lot of guys.
And Britain's David Price.
David Price, to me, one of the best talented young heavyweights out there. Man, if you can get a guy 6'8", bad thing, don't keep the distance. Why are you letting somebody get even close? That's my thing. If you're gonna keep the I call it the wand out there, you gotta jab to keep him at bay, set your right hand up. You're 6'8". You're a huge guy with good legs. I look at legs. Guys getting in, knowing how to get in, knowing how to get out, and using the size. Take a page from Vladimir Klitschko from the time he fought me to now. Make the fights easy. Use my height and reach. Make it easy. Height, reach, size. Easy. Maybe they don't love him because he's not knocking guys out like he was and pursuing a knockout, but he's making fights easy.
And he's winning.
Winning, sell out crowds in Europe. That's what it's about. It's about winning that.
He's been criticized for bouncing around on his toes like an amateur. Thoughts?
Who?
Price.
Hey, think about it. He's 15 and out. He was 15 only 15 and 1.
Yeah.
15. What do you really know? You know, say you still learn this game. You learn how to settle down. You learn how to box. You learn how to win. That's the curve he's on. And in my opinion, great loss.
That's what
he got all this pressure to be the next great one, and you push, and then you get there, and then he have a major failure, and then now, okay, I'm not so great. Now it's time for me to really learn how to win and learn how to fight and win fights.
I suggested that he pack his bags and come to America and get a top trainer to help him.
Well, if he's comfortable, the thing is, you got to learn yourself too. I studied boxing. I mean, when I was coming up, I watched it wasn't YouTube. We didn't have YouTube. So I knew nothing about it. So I used to tape every fight. So I'm watching all these different styles. I was a freak because I wanted to be the best in the world. So I would watch everybody and start figuring out all these different styles. All right, I already know what you're going to do before you did it. A lot of guys. And then I look at the bigger guys, I'm like, whoa, that's just a hard matchup. Now I got to try to get to them and figure out how to get to them. So, that's just boxing.
Chris, it's been great speaking to you on BWRD TV. Thanks again, and thank you for talking to BWRD TV. So there you have it. The end of another inside story. This time of two-time heavyweight champion of the world, Chris BYRD. I hope you enjoyed the interview. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the BYRD family for giving me the opportunity to do the interview. Special shout out to Chris BYRD's wife Tracy for setting the interview up, and of course Chris for making the interview happen. Chris was on a very, very tight schedule, and when you're talking to somebody who's got so much experience and so much knowledge is the very best in the world, sometimes you can ask a lot of questions and sometimes get so into it that we're of time. But again, I really thank Chris for his patience and the opportunity. And I hope that the interviews brought more insight for you into Chris BYRD, his career, and the heavyweight division, then and now. Don't forget to watch Chris BYRD on the Bird's Eye View. This is on YouTube. This has been Inside Story on BWRD TV. Take care now. I'm out.